Hey y'all, welcome to my January bullet journal setup. You see a little bit of art right there from my daughter, and more often than not, she's actually trying to help me out with these, and great place to immortalize her artwork somewhere where I can always see it. Here are the supplies that I'm using for this video. Pretty nondescript this go around, just markers and pens, and whatever little bit of art that I have to me. I would like to add that I got some water brushes. You can see those two right in the middle. I got a whole pack for Christmas and I am excited to use them. That's why I decided to go with this theme, because we're just watercoloring everything in this one because I want to try my brushes out. So I've been saying for a couple of months now that I want to get these, and I got some for Christmas. So thank you. And we really about to use these. I'm going to place some washi down where I don't want the color to go through. What I'm trying to do is see if I can get like an overall even yellow background for my spread, and then that way I can just kind of color on top of it with having a colored in background. One thing when you use markers is you have to always worry about streaking. So I'm thinking that if I watercolor a background, then that background will be all even if I do it at one time. That way I don't get any like water spots. That was the intent. Let's see how that comes out. To get the color down, I am adding ink to my acrylic block, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of water. Ink to water here is going to be very important, because if you have more water, then you have diluted color. If you have less water, then you're going to have a stronger color. You also want to think about color consistency, because I'm essentially making small batches of ink here or watercolor. So it's very possible that if I'm not doing this the same exact way every single time, then I'm not going to get color consistency, and I'm going to get different various tones of yellow. One thing that I found out here is all the colors that I used were way too close in value. So all my yellows came out looking the same anyway. But we watercolor and we don't judge. So let's start painting these little creatures. These were supposed to have been hedgehogs at first, and then I kind of lost the plot. My baby came over and she asked me what I was drawing, and she said they look like porcupines, and I was like, okay, I haven't gotten too far into this where they can't be porcupines, so let's do porcupines. And then we looked this up, and like somewhere along the line it just started molding into each other. I wanted to have other things that weren't just porcupines, so I was just like, okay, well, what do they eat? And they eat spiders and crickets and cherries and fruit and stuff like that. So I added those into the background, and I kind of got a little carried away, and like I said, I lost the plot, and I can't really draw, so I was gonna go with like cute kawaii emotions, and we got something that worked. I will say that adding in the fruit with the red fruit, apples and cherries, it did break up the yellow a lot. So I did enjoy that part. So doing all this, I used like 3 values of straight up yellow, and in the back, you can't really tell. Honestly, I could have used just 1 value of yellow for everything that I did, and you probably wouldn't have been able to notice because of how much water I used and how much water I didn't use to do the background versus applying the marker directly to the paper. So we are learning. One thing that I think makes this project look really, really good is the fact that I did not use black. So I kept this all in the yellows and browns family, and of course the red. But I think using black would have been too much. It would have overpowered what was going on here. I think brown was just dark enough without having to go to black, and I really liked it. I think it added to the drawing versus the black just standing out on top of it. And that's something that we can take into our art going forward. Everything doesn't need to have a black outline. Everything doesn't need black ink. Sometimes just a really dark brown is just as good. Something about black as a color, in my opinion, can be really, really harsh on your eyes and just harsh for the color tone, or the color palette. Brown adds like some kind of like warmth and consistency to a color palette that I feel like black takes away from. But I'm not a color person. Like, color theory and all that, I'm gonna leave that to the true experts, because they can probably put some words to it that I don't know of. I just know that when I look at it, the brown adds something that I feel like the black would take away. With my January cover page done, let's go ahead and do my calendar. My calendar page doesn't change much. I like the way that it works, and it works for me, so I don't change it. It's been like this ever since I started bullet journaling. I just do my 6x6 squares and put my little date blocks in the corner, and it does what it does. I'm gonna make it do what it do. For the month, I always try to do something really nice. And my brush lettering has never been very, very nice or consistent, but somehow through the work of some kind of magic, it worked out. Like, this is the prettiest brush lettering I've ever done in my life. And you know what happened? I ran out of room and didn't have enough space for a Y. But we art and we don't judge. We just don't have a Y for January. But the rest of the work came out super nice. So what I know I need to do next month is plan out that space better. But I'm just gonna add some lines and some dots. I want to bring in the brown, but I don't want it to overpower the rest of my spread. And I'm gonna add in the other colors. And here we are with January. I didn't leave a lot of space to label the days of the week. And I figured, hey, it doesn't change. It's always Monday through Friday. So I just did little squares and I put in the first letter of each day. Now I'm going to add some space for some notes. I normally like to keep up with what my socials are doing, but they don't change a whole lot. I don't get like a ton of followers. I don't get a ton of unfollowers, so it doesn't really change. And I'm going to add my hedgehog, porcupine, don't know what it is emoticon. And I'm going to throw some cherries in there. Now I'm going to add this little block down here for some notes, some additional notes. I normally like to put a what's happening in the world kind of thing around. Or if there's something that's very important that winds up going in that box, I just like to have a space for it. I still have stickers from my yearly spread, and I'm just going to be using these throughout the year. This spread I'm calling my goal spread, but it's more so my focus planning. So if you go back to my last video, my yearly setup video, I said that I really have a hard time with goals, and I just kind of have areas where I like to focus. So that's what this is going to be. I'm going to take one of my focus, or however many one of my focuses, and I'm going to turn it into a goal that I can do within a quarter. So I'm going to break it down, I'm going to break it down and list that down here on this left hand side. I will kind of do some upper level planning, and then on the right hand side I will have the detailed planning. And of course this could very well go into more spreads later on, but right now I don't want to inundate myself with trying to go down for every detail, especially because I could decide to go a different direction. So this is going to be like kind of high level, and that's why it's only going to be this side. I also wanted to have a little bit of background so it kind of looks like stationery, so I just did some diluted yellow and colored outside of the box. January is a hectic month, so I'm not putting a whole lot of spreads in this one, and I'm going to go directly into my first weekly spread for the month. My weekly spreads are kind of like a data dump for the week. I try to plan out what I know I have to look out for, and anytime there is an empty day, I like to just journal a line for what happened that day, or just kind of reconnect with myself at the end of the day and gear up for the next day. So it's always a little something different each day with my weekly spread. I also don't want to overdo it on my weekly spread, because then I'll get so overwhelmed with making sure that I have to have something there that I forget to just let the journal breathe and let it work for me instead of me working for it. And it's very easy to turn around and work for your bullet journal versus it working for you. I don't know if anybody struggles with that, but I try to make sure that I keep it in its place so that I'm using it effectively. Now I'm going to color in my little Porcupine hedgehog. The page is a little wet, and I found that with that part being a little wet, the marker being applied directly to it was a little bit smoother, and the color in and of itself was a little bit smoother. Now I should have let it completely dry before I went in to dry the eyes, because the ink frayed a little bit when I did, but I still like it. It's still cute. I'm going to do its little quills that kind of look like hair. I'm thinking I've drawn this little porcupine so many times now that I should just give it a name. I'm not sure what it'll be though. Maybe you can give me one in the comments. I'm going to draw in my little note space, and there's a little bit of an empty space with this one, and I left it there on purpose because I wanted to have a little bit of time for art. I'm going to put some red tissue paper in here and some washi, and leave a little space for if I have like a to-do list, which is probably what that'll turn into, a little to-do list. And if not a to-do list, then I'll add a little picture there. Just something to be a little bit creative during the week, or something like a little doodle that I can work on over the week just to keep my hands going. Now it is time for the final flip through. I am done for the month of January. I am super proud of my watercoloring and my use of color for this month, and my brush lettering. There's a lot of small improvements that I've made with my art and my artistic ability that I feel like really came to the forefront this month. A lot of techniques just kind of came together for me this month, and even though those faces didn't come out looking super cute like I thought they would, I think overall, like I said, just my art in general for what I like to see has kind of just culminated this month. It really coalesced. And these watercolor brushes were just the bee's knees that really helped me bring it together. I'm loving it. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being on this art journey with me. If you like what you see, go ahead and like and subscribe. And again, leave me a comment down there. What should I name my little Porcupine hedgehog thing? I really appreciate you being here. Thank you, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.